Hey Scrappers, it's Vanessa here, and today, before I start this layout, I thought I would just go over really quickly what I'm going to be using, because a couple of these things I did while I was putting some things together, and I just started playing, got distracted and started playing with some stuff. And so I thought I would kind of show what I put together for this layout, and then I'll turn the camera on and we'll speed up the video to actually create the layout. But this first piece of paper that you see here was actually just a scrap of white cardstock, and when I was cleaning up I found a package of the Paige Evans Whimsical collection, all of the rub-ons, and I took that entire sheet of rub-ons and I cut them all apart, and then I took this white piece of cardstock and I just laid out the rub-ons in a pattern that I liked, and went ahead and filled this entire piece of white cardstock with all of those rub-ons. So hopefully, I'm not sure if my camera will actually focus on it, but it is an entire sheet of the rub-ons. I have a couple that I did not put on here that I used another, just a scrap of white paper. You'll see that here in a second, and those I'm going to use as some embellishments throughout my layout. But once I did that, I then took some little heart puffy stickers in sort of a medium, small, medium, and large size, and I dotted those through so there's a little bit of dimension, as well as the rub-ons, which are obviously flat. I have a little dimension with the puffies. So this I'm going to use, and so this is very busy, and so this is going to act as sort of the primary main embellishment on my page, because this really has it's a big statement. And so I also love this idea to use up rub-ons. I have a hard time using them, and I usually forget to use them, and so this was a really great way to use up a whole pack of rub-ons and get them on a page. And so I thought I would share sort of one idea to use rub-ons if you're like me and have a hard time using them. So like I said, this is going to act as the main embellishing piece for my layout in the end. The next thing, when I was cleaning up, I found this piece of white cardstock again that I had used to clean up some mixed media that was on my mat. So rather than, just wipe it up, I threw a piece of white cardstock. Now this was not gessoed or anything, so it is a little bit warped, but I just created this background simply by just taking this, turning it over, and dumping it on whatever was on my desk. So it wasn't gessoed, so as you can see, it really just soaked into the paper, but I'm okay with that. It created sort of a fun background. There's some splatters that I did do a little bit of splattering after the fact, and this just will allow me to have a background that I just kind of set off to the side, and now I'm going to use to create a layout. So that's going to act as the background. And then I do know that I'm going to put this rub-on sheet here in the center. So I do know my layout's going to go something like this when it's all said and done. We'll see what else we do, but you'll see what I pulled out. So this is going to be my background. I'm going to mat this white on this piece of pattern paper. Now I haven't decided whether I'm going to use this light green blue color with these little florals. They're very faint, so it's more tone on tone, or if I'm going to use this pink geometric. So kind of not sure. I'm debating back and forth which one I'm going to use, so we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure. We'll see. So there's what it looks like with that as the background, or I'll use that. So like I said, not really sure which one I'm going to go with, but it's going to be one of the two. And then here are the rest of those rub-ons that I said I had kind of kept off to the side. There's a couple of other butterflies in here. There they are. So these were also on the rub-on sheet. I cut those out separately, and I'm going to use these as some of the embellishing on my page. So there are those. And then I have some bows. These are from Echo Park, and they were the ones that come on paper clips. I don't use the paper clips, but I took those off. And then I just have some other ephemera pieces that I kind of just pulled out that match the colors. I have 2 6x6 from L Studio. So that is what the backs look like. I'm obviously going to use them for this, so I'm kind of going toward the purples and then this bluey or this green sort of teal color. I have 2 photos, which this is also one of those ideas where I have 2 photos. They were blurry, not the best quality, like my mom is blurry and my dad is blurry in these photos. They're not the best quality photos, so I turn them in black and white, which allows me to put whatever colors I want with them. But the other great thing about this is I'm using imperfect photos, but that's not really the point. The point is to sort of document how much we love when we get to spend quality time together and how much fun we have when we are out and on vacation and at restaurants, and how the kids they love getting to spend time with their grandparents, and how their little personalities come out when we are hanging out at a restaurant with Grammy and Grampy. And so that is what we're documenting. So the pictures themselves don't need to be perfect. Next, I have just some pieces that I pulled. So I have some puffies, some Jen Hatfield puffies, some whimsical puffies. I have the whimsical stickers. I have these, what's left of this Pink Fresh sheet that was Everyday Musings. I have some gold stickers from Maggie Holmes and some enamel dots. And then I actually have 2 of these thickers that were from the Bloom Street collection. I'm going to use this word favorite, but I thought I might use some of these other puffies, so I grabbed both packages. I also have this thicker package, which is Memento, and this is going to write the other part of my title. And then I also have this floral pattern paper. Now, I might fussy cut some of these, we will see, but I do know I'm going to mat my photos with this, as well as the 6x6 that you saw. So this is what I pulled for this layout. So I'm going to turn the camera on, or speed the video up, and go ahead and we are going to create this layout. So I know I'm going to have this band down the center, and so we'll kind of see how the rest of this layout comes together. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to do is we're going to trim down my 2 photos. I'm going to take off that white border, and then I'm going to take that floral paper that I showed at the beginning of the video, and that's going to become the first mat for these 2 photos. Now, I am just going to kind of get an idea of how I want to lay my photos out first before I start to go ahead and cut my papers, because I wasn't sure if I was going to need to trim down my photos a bit more in order to make them fit on this page, because I can't obviously trim down that white piece of cardstock that has the rub-ons because it's already sort of designed. So I did see that I needed to cut down my photos just ever so slightly, so that's what I'm going to do here, and then I'm going to go ahead and start the matting of these 2 photos. Now, that floral paper it's only going to be a small mat around each of the photos, and so you're really not going to see the florals themselves. You'll just see a little bit of color kind of popping up around the photos, but ultimately it's really just, it looks more like a white mat than anything, but you do see a little bit of color. So that was all I was kind of going for, was just to add a little pop of color from around each of the photos. So here is where I'm just taking and measuring up how much I need of that floral paper, and then I will have my 2 mats. Once I get that done, I'm going to take those 2 pieces of pattern paper that I showed at the beginning that were from the L Studios, both the polka dots, and I'm just going to create the second mat that's going to go around each of my photos. So I'm doing the purple larger polka dot around the photo of my daughter and my mom, and then I am going to take and do the lighter, or not the lighter, but the smaller polka dot, teal green color, although it's reading on my screen, is a lot more green. I'm taking that and putting that around the photo of my son and my dad. And so there are my mats, and they're all finished. So pretty simple for matting. I'm just going to have these 2 mats around my photos, and then I'm going to put them back on my page here with that middle rub-on piece of paper just to make sure everything still fits. And then I'm going to go about building the sort of main elements on the page. So I have taken those simple few die cuts that I showed at the beginning, and I'm just going to lay them out in the clusters where I'm going to put them underneath each of the 2 photos, and then I'm going to have these butterflies that go sort of in a diagonal from that bottom right to the top left. And so this is ultimately how you see it here, is pretty much going to be the overall design of the page. And here's where I keep going back and forth and auditioning which of these 2 colors for the actual frame around the layout. I'm still debating whether I'm going to go that pink or this blue-green color. And so you'll actually see in the still photos at the end of the video which one I ultimately went with. So you can kind of guess back and forth as you're watching this video, because I leave it and I don't show it until the actual final photos at the end. So I did go off camera, however, and glue down those main elements. So the bow and everything is all glued down. I just don't have that background paper attached to the layout yet. And so I'm going to take just these other little puffy stickers and some of these other little embellishments that you saw me put with this page kit at the beginning, and I'm going to just take 2 of those florals from that Jen Hatfield and put them in the center of the bows. I have another sticker that matches that rub-on rainbow scallop that I'm going to put underneath the photo with my mom and my daughter. And then at that point, I decide it's time to put my title so that I can make sure that it's going to fit and that it's going to work where I want it. So I'm first taking the word favorite from that Bloom Street Puffy Alpha, and I'm going to have that up there at the top. And then I'm going to place those butterflies back in. And so far, I am liking how that's looking. The favorite kind of overlaps that middle rub-on sheet just enough. It doesn't cover anything, but it kind of just fits perfectly right there at the top of the photo. And then the second half of my title is going to go on the photo with my son and my dad, and it's going to have the word moments. And so I'm going to place that up there. And then I do find a place for this one puffy sticker that says sunshine in my soul or something like that, I think. I kind of forget what it says now, but it's going to go up there with that other butterfly above the other half of my title, and that's all I used from that pink fresh sheet. With that, I'm just going to add the butterflies back in, and then I'm going to dot around some of these gold puffy or gold enamel dots here. And then I do believe I don't use any of the Maggie Holmes stickers that you see to the side. I had thought I was going to, but in the end I don't actually end up using any of those. I did have to go and glue down all those puffy hearts that I put on that rub-on piece of paper because they weren't super sticky. But again, you'll see me go back and forth with the background of which one I am going to use. So like I said, you'll see that here in a minute in the still photos. And as a finishing touch for this, I do audition whether or not I'm going to use a purple Mickey head or a green teal Mickey head. Ultimately, this green one wins out, and it will go down there at the very bottom of that cluster. And so with that, I am gonna flip the backgrounds back and forth so you can kind of see I'm kind of going, I don't know which one to use, but here are the still photos. So guys, I will catch you on the next video. So have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.